This is March 13th, 26. We have also Shabbat Chodesh, that means Chodesh Nissim. But a few things about the parasha, because I don't want to talk about it too much, because it's again somehow the same. They just finished the Mishkan, and I also don't want to talk about Pesach, because we'll talk about Pesach when there's Pesach. But I found something quite nice by Rabbi Elchanan Feldman at Jewish News, CO UK. The article is called "Making Sense of the Sidra Vayachel Bekudei." So he writes about is it it's that actually Judaism is a home thing. It's not we meet in the synagogues and whatever, but Judaism is preserved in our homes. That's why also what I stated quite often, the Talmud says that the dining table at home substitutes the altar in the temple, and the Baalit Bayit substitutes the priest. So it's actually about being at home. Also Pesach, also the Seder, is actually also something we celebrate at home. And he writes, he quotes the Torah now, HaChodesh HaSeh Lachem Rosh Chodashim. That means it's the beginning of the first month, but, because it's also the first. So Pesach is also the first holiday. You wonder about it. It's only in that the Rosh Hashanah is called Rosh Hashanah, and Tishrei is the first month. Is actually something political in the past. The reign of kings or queens were counted from Tishrei, but according to the Torah, so as religiously, we count from Nissan. So I quote from him, "Yet when the Torah turns to the central ritual of Pesach, the offering of the Korban Pesach, something striking happens. It is not organized around the central sanctuary or communal space." Okay, central sanctuary was also later. The temple built in Jerusalem was built under King Solomon, Shlomo. Instead, the Torah emphasizes the household. It says, a lamp for each family, for each home. This was a quotation from the Torah. So he goes on, "From the very beginning of Jewish nationhood, the Torah signals the most powerful arena for Jewish continuity. It is not the public institution, but the private home. This idea echoes the famous words of the Shema, when you sit in your home and when you walk along the way. Jewish life is meant to accompany us everywhere, but it begins within the walls of our homes." So what we say in the Shema is also it's the thing about the individual practice is the most important thing, and that's why, by the way, rabbinical Judaism doesn't need a temple. And what I forgot to say about this in a video about these claims by Tucker Carlson, that it's Chabad who started the war, completely ridiculous. Yeah? He claims that Chabad, he reveals a secret. Chabad wants to build a third temple. Of course not. Nobody wants to build this third temple. But what is the month of Nisan also? Usually I don't talk about Kabbalah, and because this is not for everybody, and I completely reject the idea of it's now on Facebook, a guy who founded the Kabbalah University, or this dangerous sects called Kabbalah Study Center. I've met somebody who is in there. They are brainwashed people. This is not Kabbalah. And I also lost a friend, an Israeli friend, who went to the Leitman Institute and completely brainwashed. This is not Kabbalah. Kabbalah is not taught to everybody. And it was never done. Like, by the way, all kinds of esoteric. Esoteric actually means a tradition passed on in secret for only certain kinds of people. This is not what you talk about on the market streets. I quote now the Kabbalist Rabbi Yitzhak the Blind, who also were against it, who was a real Kabbalist, by the way. And the Kabbalah Study Center is only there to make this Tzvi Trebitsch rich. This is the real name of this guy who calls himself Rabbi PhD Philip S. Berg. He is not a rabbi, he doesn't have a PhD, but his real name is Tzvi Trebitsch. And he worked for an insurance company. And yeah, but he's a multi-billionaire now. One is not allowed to teach these things. Yeah, but zodiac signs is something harmless, and many people will say, "Yeah, but isn't that forbidden?" Not necessarily. I try to find it now. Yes, from the Jewish Encyclopedia. It's written by Joseph Jacobs and Judah David Eisenstein. And so many people, in the Jewish month, each Jewish month has assigned a zodiac sign. This comes actually from the Akkadian tradition. So Jews in the Babylonian exile adopted it, and also the names of the months. And from Judaism, this passed on to Europe and Western civilization. But it's not like you open the Vogue and you read some nonsense about what happened to you next week. Oh, I will meet a nice blonde. Don't count me, I'm not nice. And but it's actually something more complicated. So a real astrology is really according to your special horoscope. So you also need your exact time of your birth and the exact address, and then it's also not something you can't escape. This is something like that. Believing something like that is forbidden in Judaism. But of course it's every month. But the zodiac signs also correspond to the tribes of Israel. So the zodiac signs also represent the people of Israel, Am Yisrael. And you can look it up in the Jewish Encyclopedia. I will post a link in the description. So in the first month, it's Taleh. So Nissan is Taleh. It's actually not Ram, because a ram is an adult sheep and male sheep, and a lamb is a baby sheep. So, but it's Taleh. Do I say it correctly? Yeah, Taleh. A Taleh is a lamb that has still breastfed by his mama. Yeah, exactly. So maybe because it's not written anywhere, this is what I think, because spring begins only. But it's also interesting because the zodiac signs are also connected to different patriarchs. So Nissan is connected to the Akedah, to Yitzhak. A quote from there. Yes, Isaac representing the sacrificial taleh. Which also, this is a very interesting thing. There was article, I once wrote a whole article about it, the difference between God's will and God's order or command. And this is exactly what's pictured in this story when God orders Abraham to sacrifice his only son. And there is a midrash so Abraham, without questioning, takes Yitzhak to go to this mountain to sacrifice his son. And on the way, there's a midrash, on the way, he's hindered by Lucifer. So I talked about it already. Lucifer was the highest angel, and because he didn't want to bow before the humans, this is another midrash. But rightfully, he refused to bow before the humans, and though God ordered him to do that, he said no, which is also interesting. Why I say no. He was cast. He was ordered to leave the realm of the angels, and was ordered to go to earth to be the persecutor for God on earth. And persecutor in Hebrew means Satan. So Satan in Judaism is not the devil, but it's Lucifer who works for Hashem. And to check on humans if we behave correctly. And this is also interesting because you have that also in the story of Eov in Hebrew, which is a very complicated story, because God bets with Lucifer, against Eov, and Eov doesn't know anything about it. So this is a very fishy story, but it's very interesting why they put it in the Tanakh. And but going back to these things, the funny thing is, in Jewish mythology, the angels can only do. They don't have a free will. They can only fulfill the will of God. So when Lucifer doesn't bow before humans, he fulfills God's will. And he also knew God's will. This is mythology, but it of course has a meaning. And so Lucifer on earth is Satan, to check on the humans. So this midrash, when Abraham goes to the mountain to sacrifice Yitzhak, so he goes there, and then there's this midrash that says Lucifer tries to hinder Abraham to go there, because God, that's the difference. God doesn't want Abraham to offer Yitzhak. So Lucifer tries to stop him. And the Midrash says there is this flute. So Lucifer sends the flute to stop Abraham, and Abraham keeps on walking and walking and walking. So finally Lucifer gives up and says, okay, and then go. But then he tries to stop Abraham on the mountain. Exactly. This is when it's also written in the Torah when Lucifer, it's the angel, but it's of course Lucifer who takes the knife away and stops him, stops Abraham from sacrificing his son, because this was not the will of God. And this is a very interesting thing, that there is obviously a discrepancy between the will of God and God's order. And and this is something when we say we have mitzvot, which means commandments. We are commanded to do it. Now I get into a dangerous path, I think, because it is usually said that the halakha, which means way, should lead you to ethical life, and funnily enough, it should actually lead you to a redemption. So it's a bit of a nirvana thing, yeah, in Buddhism. And it's not redemption what the Christians say. It has nothing to do with that. To redeem the world means you have to redeem yourself first. The redemption starts in yourself, and this is actually, I don't want to go into Kabbalah, so maybe I stop here. But this month is very significant, a very significant month, and it of course redemption has something to do with inner freedom. So Pesach is the festival of freedom, and the Exodus, to leave slavery, is the prerequisite for receiving the Torah. And that's why, for example, when all these people marching through the desert, and after a while they screamed for the meat pots of Egypt, right? So Egypt in the Torah, in this case, doesn't stand for a country, actually. It stands for indulgence and slavery and being dependent, and also for dependent on luxury, dependent on food, to be for actually slavery in yourself. Yeah? That you depend on something like that. The funny thing is, he was not Jewish, but the Emperor Joseph II of Austria said some things very similar. He was from the Enlightenment movement, and he never slept in a bed. He always slept on the floor. He also, when he was with his soldiers in the battlefield, he always slept on the floor. He never ate something special. He didn't drink wine. He just drank water. And he said something very similar. He said you can't be a free person when you are dependent on luxury, and also when you're dependent on an ideology. And this is what Egypt represents in the story of the Exodus. But when you want to be a servant of God, of our Hashem, then you have to be free. And free of any kind of also ideology. Or this is also sexism. I said it also, I heard it also Orthodox Jews. Judaism is not sexist, and Judaism is also not speciesist. And so we are not allowed to lie. But why? Because you see that in Islam, they lie to lie and lie because they need the lies for their ideology. look at my last video when I speak about Al-Aqsa, Al-Masjid Al-Aqsa, and propaganda. Propaganda is nothing else than lie. When you, for example, believing, and that goes to all these left-wing Jews, believing in propaganda is avara, because propaganda is lashon hara. Lashon hara. So I don't go into that much politics now, because the politics, you can go to my Twitter channel. My main Twitter account is blocked. My new one was blocked. I could unlock it. I don't know why. Am I so important? Obviously. Nobody follows me on my new Twitter account. I have one follower. And but I'm blocked out the whole time. And so when you need a word caliphate and hate women and rape women and children and hate everybody and spread lies, this is what they've chosen for in their lives. But we have to choose differently. And this is also what I have this, I found it somewhere. You're allowed to, with this. So I'm at the website of the Orthodox Union now. It's significance of astrology in Judaism. They have nothing. Judaism doesn't have anything against Zodiac signs. It comes from it comes to Europe from. So they're right. The Orthodox Union, ou.org. In Judaism, astrology is not regarded as idol worship, even though the generic name of idol worship is avodat kochavim umazalot, worship of the stars and the signs of the zodiac. And it's a difference. Worship is you don't think for yourself anymore, and you are not a free person anymore with a free will. And the principle in Judaism is free will. I go on with the quote. From the Jewish perspective, the stars are not unrelated to events on earth. It is not irrelevant whether one was born on Pesach or Yom Kippur, Lag BaOmer, or any particular day. Each day is special and has a unique imprint. Blah, blah, blah. And then there's a principle, Ein Mazal de Yisrael. Ein Mazal de Yisrael. Israel's fate is not determined by the stars. The Jew, raised in his people's traditions and Torah values, feels the reality of freedom of choice in his bones. So deeply ingrained is this knowledge and feeling that the Jew really has cause to think about astrological factors. It is the belief that one cannot escape from the grip of the stars that distinguish astrology from the worship of the stars and signs of the zodiac. It's always impossible to define one's fate by choosing behavior which is guided by morality and integrity. This is what I was talking about. The freedom is the prerequisite for being Jewish. And free yourself, like Bob Marley sang, free your mind and your ass will follow. I mean, okay, Bob Marley was not Jewish, but strangely enough, Ziggy Marley, his son, seems to have Jewish children. Don't ask me how that happened. But this is all I wanted to say. We are not to be allowed to spread lies, to believe in propaganda, to post propaganda. It goes also to the left-wing Jews, but also it says Jews, for example, also in Austria and here in Hungary where I live, they are super left-wing, and it's a complete disaster. How can you be left-wing when you are Jewish? just doesn't fit together in any way. Yeah, I mean, there are left-wing Jews in Israel. I also wanted to say to the Israelis and especially to the Israeli government. So yesterday we were around. I read different reports, from 100 to 200 missiles only from Hezbollah, and the Iran officials already admitted that Hezbollah is acting according to orders from Iran, the Iranian regime, and so on. I mean, it's logical. Also, now the attacks on synagogues in the world sure helps free Palestine. And so what the Israelis are doing now is well in the fight against the Iranian regime, but also the fight against Hezbollah and all. Also the Hamas did another parade yesterday in Gaza. Is to free the world from Islamism. If you don't understand that Israel is the first replacement migration, and also this lie about Al-Aqsa, Masjid Al-Aqsa, and this holy land of the Muslims, fuck it, really, go to Mecca and leave us alone. This is, you're repeating lies and lies and lies. This is, I have enough of that. But the lie about Palestinians is also repeated by the Israeli government. If you keep on doing that and act as if these people are a people, you don't go for a solution, because these are invaders on Israeli territory who come there for the world caliphate, for jihad, jihad, jihad. It's the same like the invaders who come to Europe, who come to Canada, Australia, and who came also in the past to North Africa, who go to Russia and who go to, I don't know, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh and everywhere. This is exactly the same. It's the world caliphate. And as long as you also repeat it as Israelis, there will be no solution, because the only solution is to take these people and send them out, get them out. You expel them. But of course, first you need to work, replace a regime change in Iran, a regime change in fight Hezbollah. But for example, the Lebanese government, they said, big mouth, like all these people, we fight against Hezbollah. This is your territory. How come you can't control what's happening in your territory? These missiles are fired from Lebanese territory. This is the problem Israel has had for decades. Big mouths, they all have, but they are not able or not willing to do anything. And I think they are not willing to do anything because, like Bukele said, and the president of El Salvador, a government who wants to fight crime succeeds. A government who doesn't want to fight crime doesn't succeed. And he has proven that it's true. If you refuse and to stop missiles fired from your territory, then the missiles are fired from your territory to your neighbors. But claiming you want it to stop and you don't do anything about it, this is not wanting it. And this is the big difference. And Amjad Tachat posted something also on Twitter this summer. Governments and officials, British officials, to the Iranian embassy in London, celebrating the Iranian revolution back in the 70s. that enslaved and imprisoned the Iranians in radical Islam. And this is obviously what the Islamic government wants also for Britain and all these left-wing people, because as I made videos about it, you find them on Rumble. I have the same username on Rumble, Nurit Ahuba. I made videos about it, how it is all connected, and also to stakeholder capitalism and the AI. So when I read saw the proofs also on the websites of UAE government, AI universities, now everyone talks about AI if this is a good thing. No. People lose their jobs because of AI. And in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai, and they have AI universities. If you don't want to pay, or let's say it differently, if you use an AI app for learning a language instead of paying a teacher, you take away the panusa of a language teacher. If you use AI to create music videos, you take away the panusa of web designers and graphic designers and video designers. And this is already a problem. And this is exactly what's happening. And this is a major avara, by the way. I, for example, don't use any AI, and I also refuse to do it. And even I prefer that my videos are shitty. Yeah? Because it's not about the appearance, it's about the impact. And taking away the panusa of somebody is forbidden. It is forbidden. But this is exactly what the stakeholder capitalism wants. It's CBDC and AI. And radical religion that suppresses us all. And it's also, for example, about... you can listen to all these people, like also Klaus Schwab, Harari, all this. Oh, it's also from a UN program. The World Economic Forum is not the World Economic Forum, it's a forum to destroy the world economy. By this means. So I try to find it now because... and this is also the reason for anti-white racism, because these people, these transhumanists, they say the white people are too educated and too intelligent. We actually want to kill them, not kill them. Yeah, replace them. Yeah, extinguish them, because this is too high IQs. And then we import people, not completely maniacs who rape our children. This is genocidal rape, also. But also, for example, Islam is a religion for bimbos. Yeah, you can read the book about. No, let me be a bit more current. Let's talk about people who come from cultures with cousin marriage. Increased recessive disorders, birth defects and mortality. Development issues. This is intelligence, so brain functions, probability of speech, language, and learning difficulties. And I found also how widespread it is. So, top of the list for cousin marriage, Pakistan, 61 to 65%. And this is not just now, it's over generations, right? Saudi Arabia, 65%, around 65%. Afghanistan, 40 to 46%. Sudan, 44 to 63%. Kuwait and Qatar, around 54%. Oh, before that, I had also UAE on the list with 50%. The Emir, I read about the Emir family of Dubai, but I don't know, but I think it's not different in other Emirates. They have even the rule they have to marry their cousin. Yeah, it means also no intelligence, no brain. Yeah, and this is of course also connected to importing people with a religion that actually don't even want education, free speech, and critical thinking. You can go, you can read this book. I have to translate it to you. It's by Basam Tibi, this professor for sociology. The German name is Der Islam und das Problem kultureller Bewältigung sozialen Wandels. The English title would translate into Islam and the Challenge of Cultural Adaptation to Social Change. In this book, he analyzes different Islamic societies, Saudi Arabia, I think 5 different countries, Saudi Arabia, Iran, Morocco, Jordan, I think Syria. This book is from the 80s, but what he writes about the educational system is completely alien to Judaism, of course. Yeah? In all these countries he did research in also Egypt, he also did Egypt. The schools, but also the universities don't even want critical thinking. The children, and then later the students, have just to repeat what's taught them. And this is tested. This is not a university, this is not a school. This is spreading stupidity. And this is also completely against our concept of critical thinking and freedom of speech and freedom of your mind, freedom of your heart, and questioning. So, for example, I mean, discussions, critical thinking, yeah, and that's why they hate us also so much. It's not only the idea of supersession and the idea of occupation. They occupied the whole Middle East, and then they say it's Israeli occupation. No, what the fuck are you talking about, right? But this is, of course, this the only thing they can. It's lying. But I want to suggest a book to you. It's actually a series. It's called The Rabbi's Cat, Le Chat du Rabbin. The original is in French, written by Joann Sfar. It takes place in Algiers, and my most favorite is the first book, because this cat is so blasphemic. But you see in this book typical Jewish discussions on Judaism and philosophy and ethics and halakha, and the cat with different kind of rabbis. And the cat is super intelligent, like all cats are. And I think the other books are not so good, but this is a typical Jewish book or comic. It's really nice. I was told by somebody I met in last Shabbat in the synagogue that they also made a movie about it, a cartoon. But I think the book is really nice, and also you can use it also on Shabbat. You can read it, and but this is a typical book, a typical Jewish book, because we discuss everything, we can talk about everything, but you have to be educated. And when you are educated, then you can be free. Only an educated person can be free, and that's why Islam and the left wing hate education and critical minds, because only a stupid person believes every nonsense. And by the way, if you are a left-wing Jew and you spread propaganda, then you spread Lashon Hara, and if you believe in propaganda, then you participate in Lashon Hara. This is not being Jewish. And it's always find out the facts, find out the truth. And this is the most important thing. And that's why I always say, to cut down all the Islamists and also the left wings, you can't destroy the truth. It's impossible. Even if you win a battle now, you won't win the war. Because like Ari Lester sang in his song about Ahmadinejad, there are so many who try to kill us. We are still here and they are all gone. Do you want to add your name to the list? You can try, but you will lose. And you see that also the people have enough. Even the Europeans wake up now. They say enough. And for example, I saw the day on Twitter, the Americans posted that this Islamist, who is now mayor of New York, turned the city hall of New York into a mosque, or sitting on the floor with Islamic prayers. This is occupation. And there's no difference than the occupation of our Temple Mount, or the occupation of the Machpelah in Hebron, or the occupation of the tomb of the prophetess Deborah, or the occupation of Lebanon, and the occupation of Iran, the occupation of Sri Lanka, the occupation, the Turks, they occupy parts of Greece. This occupation, the whole time. And this, Islam is not a religion. It's an occupational project to substitute everyone else. It's not diversity. It's not about diversity. They want to turn us into them. And and they need lies. The whole time they lie, and then they say, oh, a terror attack this week in what's it called? Yeah, in Belgium, on a synagogue. And it's posted, and the oldest Islamists and their proxies say it was the Mossad. The Jews lie, Israel lies. We don't need to lie. For the truth, you don't need to lie. And we also, for the lies, you need to lie. This is the truth. For their crimes, they need to lie. And for their crimes, they invented a religion. And you can also watch my video about human rights in Arabic, the Arabic version. Then you know everything you need to know. And but we Jews have to fight for the good. And please pray for the Israeli soldiers. They're doing the whole world a great service. And I also thank the Israelis that they're willing to sit in the bomb shelters and even have bar mitzvahs in the bomb shelters. And I admire you a lot. Actually, I tried. Maybe the next move will be to Israel. I don't know. But anyway, so be free also of propaganda. Be free of ideologies, and always check what is really true and what is not. Also, don't believe every rabbi. Many Orthodox rabbis don't even know Aramaic, and actually doesn't mean they spread lies, but I learned Aramaic, so I'm a bit picky. But I say you should learn Aramaic to understand the Talmud, and that is actually your obligation. That was my speech to rabbis. So, Shabbat Shalom and all the best.